All right, here he is, our boy, Alfred Horford. Alexander Horford, Al Horford. I don't know what his full real name is. It just always says Al everywhere you look. And Celtics fans say bye bye to your boy Al Horford because he's been traded to the Golden State Warriors. If you don't like Al Horford, I don't know what's wrong with you. There's really nothing not to like about Al Horford except for the fact that he's 38 and he's not really going to help the Warriors with much anything, in my opinion. He's not going to change any playoff series or sway their win total in the regular season. Again, I love Al Horford, not to hate on the man, but just a little older these days. But, anyways, he gets traded from the Celtics over to the Warriors, or not a trade. He signed with the Warriors in the free season. They haven't released all the details, but it's going to be a multi-year contract. Again, Al Horford is 38 years old, so we'll see if he plays till he's 40, 41, however long Al Horford wants to play. He's still a decent player. He's the kind of player that's always going to be in the right place. He played 60 games last season. He was playing 28 minutes per game, so pretty much always going to come into work every day and be take care of his body, be healthy for the most part. He may have some little nicky nacky stuff, but throughout Al Horford's entire career, he's always been really healthy and taking great care of his body. So you love to see that. That's more than a lot of players can say, to be honest. A lot of players don't take as good care of themselves as they could, would be fair to say. But Al Horford, Atlanta Hawks legend, Boston Celtics legend as well. I think he's a legend in both organizations. Maybe more in Boston because they won the title, but Big Al Horford, just a legend, a player everybody loves. Goes over to with the Warriors, so we'll see how things are going to shake up. I was looking at an article. It says, of course, Al Horford gets traded to the Warriors. Al Horford's career stats: 14 points and 10 rebounds and 2 blocks. Whatever his career stats were, and I saw that, and I said, I don't care what his career stats were. I want to see what his stats were just last season. If you average 50 points a game for 15 seasons straight, and then you fall off a cliff and you're averaging 10 points a game in your 16th season, I don't really care about your career average. I want to see what that player is today and how they've been looking at the actual age that they're at, if that makes sense. But just last season, Al Horford was averaging 9 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block. The most impressive thing for me was the 1 block. It's crazy to be 38 years old. I think Al Horford is about 6'10". So it's crazy to be getting one whole block every game, when you're that age. Not to say he's a decrepit old man, but he's pushing 40. And like I was saying earlier, Al Horford just not going to be making a lot of mistakes. There's not going to be a lot of times where you're like, oh, what the fuck, Al? What are you doing out there? He's going to be in the right places on offense. Him averaging 1 block per game shows you that he's going to be in the right places on defense as well. And just be a smart veteran player that's going to do all of those veteran things. Again, played 60 games last season, so the man's going to be ready to go to work. But like I was saying, I don't see Al Horford really swaying anything for Golden State. I don't see Golden State. I feel like their absolute ceiling is to make it to the second round and get knocked out in the second round. If they face Houston again this season in the playoffs, I do think Houston is overrated, but I don't think Golden State could beat Houston this time around. But here's the standings from last season. Of course, OKC and Houston were the top 2 teams. You had Golden State right down here. They were the 7th seed, so they had to play in the play-in just to make it into the playoffs. Then Memphis, Sacramento, and Dallas were your play-in teams. And everything was just so tight in the West. This is one reason I feel like Houston was a bit overrated. Not to hate on Houston. I think they're going to be really good. They are a very good team. They added Kevin Durant. But, Houston 30 losses, then Lakers, Clippers, Denver all had 32. Minnesota had 33. Golden State and Memphis had 34 losses. So the point is, if Houston had a bad week or someone sprains their ankle and they lose, 3 or 4 more games, they could have easily been in the play-in game. Where once you get to Sacramento and Dallas, that's where there's a bit of a gap. It's about an 8-game difference between Sacramento and Memphis, about an 8-game difference between Golden State and Sacramento. But I mean, this season I see OKC being the number 1 team again. Then honestly, everything below that is just up for grabs as far as I'm concerned. I feel like OKC will repeat for the number 1 seed. I would bet on that. Maybe they'll be tired and maybe they'll be trying to coach through the season, but I think they'll still have a chip on their shoulder and want to be in that number one seed again. And I think they'll do it just with how great they are. But then, I mean, Houston, Lakers, Denver, Clippers, Minnesota, I think Golden State, I think all those teams will still be in the playoff picture. Memphis, I think, will still be in the picture. I think they'll be lower in this play-in area still. And I think the Spurs are going to jump into that play-in range. I can see the Spurs possibly finishing in the number 6 seed. It's just going to depend on how big of a leap Wemby makes and how the team looks with De'Aaron Fox. But back to the Warriors, I don't really know what Al Horford's role is going to be so much on the team. He's not as good as Draymond defensively. Even with them both being at a more advanced age now, Al Horford can't make that defense. Draymond can defensively, but on the offensive end, I see him doing a lot of the same things that Draymond does, just setting screens, running a lot of dribble handoff options, setting up pin downs and stuff for Steph Curry off the ball. He's not as good of a playmaker as Draymond, so I don't see him kind of facilitating the offense as well as Draymond Green does, but I see him being that kind of role. He'll come off and give the Warriors 25 minutes a game or so, and again, just a veteran player. You can put him in. You know he's not going to be making mistakes. He's not going to be turning the ball over. He's going to set hard screens. He's going to rebound. He's not going to take any stupid shots. Al Horford's just a veteran. Earlier in his career, I would have said Al Horford's a guy that anybody would want on their team. If Al Horford was, 27, 28, 29 years old, everybody wants Al Horford. He fits in on any team with his play style. But now, with him being 38 years old, I just don't see him swaying anything for Golden State. I don't see them being more successful in the playoffs or winning more regular season games by acquiring Al Horford. And that's not to hate on the man. Again, he's just so much older now. He's again 9.6 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block is not going to change the world for anyone. But moving on to Golden State to kind of see what the rotations would be. I mean, you got Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. They would all be starting, of course. Your three-headed monster, if you want to call it that. Just your top three players, I think, is more what I was trying to say. Your core group of players, they're all 35 or older. I mean, you can have a 37-year-old Jimmy Butler and a 37-year-old Steph Curry going into next season. So I'll always give the Warriors a chance to get to the Western Conference Finals. Maybe it's really hard for me to say that right now, but as long as you have Steph Curry on your team, he's still the greatest shooter of all time. They added Jimmy Butler, and you saw how the Warriors were kind of looking better once Jimmy Butler got there. But, I take it back. I don't give them a chance to make the Western Conference Finals. I think round two is a ceiling for them, kind of just like it was last year. Then you got Buddy Hield, Trace Jackson Davis will get some play time. Kuminga will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Kuminga. He may be traded before the trade deadline. I wouldn't say Kuminga so much doesn't want to be in Golden State or Golden State doesn't want Kuminga on the team, but Kuminga thinks he's this level of player. Golden State thinks he's only this level of player. Golden State wants him to come in and be a six-man and come in and give him a spark off the bench, stuff like that. Kuminga saying, I don't want to do all that. I'm trying to go to a different team or at least pop into the starting lineup for Golden State and be able to show the skills that he thinks he has. I think Kuminga is talented, but play next to Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, he just doesn't get that opportunity to prove himself, so that'll be interesting. Moses Moody and Gary Payton will still be getting some shine. AirPods, Brandon Podziemski will be playing well out there as well. He's a solid player. Then you got Quentin Post, and that's pretty much the end of the rotation. So I see him probably starting Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green at the power forward. I don't know if they're going to start Quentin Post. I think they probably will. They'll probably start Quentin Post at the center. So you got Stephen Curry at the point. They'll probably go with either Moody or Gary Payton. I'd say probably Moses Moody. So Steph Curry, Moses Moody, Jimmy Butler, Draymond at the power forward. And they'll probably start with Al Horford and just play him sparingly. They'll take him out for Quentin Post. Quentin Post will probably end up playing more minutes once the game is over. Trace Jackson Davis will come in and kind of take some of that burden off of Al Horford again as well. But Al Horford has been traded to the Golden State Warriors. I had to at least come in and report on it. as I'd like to when any offseason move happens. But I love Al Horford. This is not me hating on Al Horford. Here he is again, just here's his beautiful face. Look at that determination, that grit on his face. I do love Al Horford. Just a player that's hard not to like. Just a cool ass dude, family man, super humble off the court. Then he gets to work on the court. But at his advanced age of 38 years old, I don't see him changing anything at all for the Golden State Warriors. They had to sign somebody, so they signed Al Horford, and that's kind of the end of the story as far as I'm concerned. But I'm excited to see Golden State next season. I see them landing somewhere between like the 6 and the 10 seed, somewhere in that range. I don't see a core group of players that are all 35 or older getting your franchise very far, just to be honest with you. But please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers. Please comment below what you think about Al Horford, what you think he'll bring to Golden State, and if you think he kind of moves the needle for Golden State. Because again, I love Al Horford, solid veteran player, but I don't think he moves the needle at all for Golden State or honestly any other teams at this point in his career. But let me know what you think. Peace.